Yugoslavie at Tuvert. Please be seated.
Good afternoon, Your Honours. This is case number IT 95/8I, prosecutor against Dragan Kolundžija.
This is the initial appearance of the accused. May we have the appearances, please?
If Your Honours please, my name is Neiman and I appear with my colleague Mr Keegan for the prosecution.
Good afternoon, Your Honours. My name is Eugene O'Sullivan and I appear on behalf of Mr Dragan Kolundžija. Might I raise a matter of some importance prior to the beginning of this hearing? Your Honours, in my submission there's been an error in personam. The person sitting behind me is not the man named in the indictment. The indictment refers to, I'm referring to paragraph 10.2c. Mr. Dragan Kolundžija, the man you see sitting in the dock, is Dragan Kolundžija. The date of birth in paragraph 10.2c in the indictment is 31 July 1966. Mr. Kolundžija informs me he was born 19 December 1959. Place of birth of the person named in the indictment is Gradina, Bosnia and Herzegovina. The man you see seated to my left was born in Bosanski Novi, Bosnia and Herzegovina. My respectful submission, the error is in personam. The man seated in the dock is not the man listed in the indictment, named in the indictment.
Mr. O'Sullivan, whether the details are right or not, I see in any event there's certainly seems to be a mistake in the spelling of the name, although that may be wrong. Is there a dispute that he is the man who was involved with the Karaterm camp? So what is challenged is as to whether this accused appearing before the court is the accused whose name appears in the indictment.
Correct, Your Honor.
Well, I'll hear the prosecution on that in a moment. What would you ask us to do to resolve the problem?
Yes. Well, once the identity is in fact established, as Mr. Kolundžija claims, he should be released.
That will require a hearing, of course, to establish where the truth lies.
Correct, Your Honor. That's our position.
Presumably it would require the hearing of evidence, you would say. Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. Mr. Neiman, did you have notice of this application?
Not notice of the application, Your Honour, but we were aware of the difficulty with the spelling, and that is something we are familiar with. It was in fact going to be the basis of an application that we would make to amend the indictment. We are reinforced in our belief that this accused is the accused referred to in the indictment in terms of the offence alleged, or the offences alleged, having regard to the fact that I'm instructed that before S4 proceeded with this arrest of this accused, they acted on information supplied to them by certain of the witnesses in relation to photo identification, that this in fact was the accused to whom they were referring. So, Your Honours, it's quite right. If there is any dispute about identity, it will be a dispute that would go to the heart of the matter and would be the subject of the trial, I would imagine, or at least the grounds of the defence at the trial. So far as we are informed at this stage, and on the information that we have, it seems to us, Your Honours, that this is the a person who has been charged in the indictment, but we do admit that there are errors in the date of birth, the spelling of the name, and it could well be that there may be an error with respect to the place of birth. I just might add, Your Honour, that it's a very old indictment. We would be seeking to review it in any event, but it would seem that these are particulars that are incorrect.
You say you're seeking to review it with a view to amendment.
Yes, Your Honours, and of course we will follow up on these matters. This is the first time we've heard it stated that there is a dispute. This is the accused referred to as the person having committed the offences in the indictment. We have known about, for some short time, known about the errors with the name and so forth. We haven't heard it before stated that it's denied that he's had no contact with Keraterm. It's a matter which we will review again with our witnesses, but at this point in time, based on my instructions, we are reinforced by the fact that certain witnesses were consulted before the arrest took place.
But the argument being put forward is that this isn't the man who is mentioned in the indictment at all.
Yes, I understand that, Your Honour.
It's somebody else.
We say that's not so. We say it is the person referred to in the indictment. What we do admit to is that it would seem there is some error in relation to the spelling.
Yes, you say this is the man, albeit some of the description is wrong in the indictment. Do you invite us to proceed with the initial appearance without more?
Your Honours, it is a matter for Your Honours as to what to do. I was going to make an application to you, not to in fact take a plea today under the rules, because I was going to intimate to the trial chamber that we would seek to amend the indictment, and we would seek to amend the indictment involving the accused Kovotchkas and others, so that this accused could be added to that indictment. We would submit that that is the most efficient course, having regard to the fact that it would bring this accused's trial on much faster than what would otherwise be the case if he was to be tried alone. And secondly, in our submission, it wouldn't delay the other trial, having regard to the fact that there will be some little time now before it proceeds to trial. So because the evidence, at least against one of the accused, in the Kovotchka and other indictments is in many ways applicable to this accused in our allegation, then it would be a case of hearing the evidence twice if there was to be a separate trial.
So you'll be making an application for the indictment not to be put today in this form, but for the matter to be listed for an application to amend, and the indictment to be put thereafter.
There's two ways of doing it. That could be the case, Your Honours. The matter could be left to rest now and brought on at an early date, hopefully when the indictment is amended. Alternatively, Your Honours, the allegations in the current indictment could be read to this accused without then inviting him to enter a plea. Just the allegations read, and that's the end of the matter, and then it'd be adjourned. There's a period of 30 days, Your Honours, before it's necessary for Your Honours to take a plea. Under Rule 62, paragraph 3, Your Honours don't have to take the plea today. We will, of course, Your Honours, look further into this question about identity, and if it proves that there is validity to the allegation that he's in no way connected with Keraterm, we will act with all due speed to bring the matter back before Your Honours and inform you of that. But my current state of instructions are that that's not so, and so subject to anything unforeseen happening, it'll be merely a case of putting forward fairly simple amendments to the two indictments. One would be merely removing the name from this indictment, and the other would be simply adding a few particulars to the Kovotchka indictment. It could be done without doing very much alteration at all, to be honest. And we could undertake to have that before the chambers, before a confirming judge, within 7 days. We could do that, such as the amendments. We could have them downstairs, and then it's a matter for the confirming judge as to how long it might take from there. But it's conceivable that if the confirming judge was to deal with it expeditiously, we could come back, say, within 10 to 14 days, and Your Honours could then proceed with a fresh indictment against this accused, and then a plea could be taken, and we could then rapidly move to trial with the other accused in the Kolundžija case. Meanwhile, Your Honour, we will verify to the best of our ability this question of whether or not he was in Sikirica, and we will inform you, Your Honours, at the next occasion what our findings are. If we are still of the same mind, the same person, then we will be seeking the matter go to trial, and any dispute as to identity will hopefully be dealt with as part of the trial.
You can make inquiries, and you can present such evidence you have in, say, 14 days.
Yes, Your Honour.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, I might add, Your Honour, I met Mr. Kolundžija for the first time a little over an hour ago. It's the first time he's had access to counsel since his arrest, which was on the 7th of June. In my respectful submission, this matter requires a hearing, and if I've understood Your Honour correctly, you're suggesting that in 7 to 14 days this matter regarding his identity be resolved. The legality and legitimacy of detention must be determined in regards to this individual.
And, of course, an initial appearance in the sense of the indictment being put, that must be done according to the rules within 30 days. So we shall require, if we find that this is the person in the indictment, him to answer the charges. We shall determine whether the accused before the trial chamber is in fact the accused named in the indictment. To do that, we will order the parties to put their submissions into writing by next Monday, and we shall hold a hearing at 2 p.m. on Thursday week. I'll be informed of the dates. That is about 10 days' time. Yes, well, the dates are Monday the 21st for written submissions of the parties, and the hearing will be on the 24th at 2:30 in the afternoon. By that time, I hope that the prosecution will have their amended indictment ready by the Thursday,
By all means, right.
and served on the accused in reasonable time, so that if possible, and if we do find that he is the man named, the indictment can then be put.
Certainly, Your Honour, yes. Your Honours, would
Yes.
the hearing on the 24th at 2:30, do Your Honours anticipate hearing evidence on that day? Or?
Yes,
Yes.
if need be. If the accused wants to give evidence about it, he can, and you can submit any evidence you want. Neiman. Are there any other matters you want to raise?
No, Your Honour, at this stage.
Mr. O'Sullivan, we shall remand the accused in custody. Is there anything you want to say?
Nothing further, Your Honour. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your assistance. Mr. Kolundžija, would you stand up, please? You've heard that next week we shall determine the question of whether you are the man named in the indictment or not. Meanwhile, you must remain in the custody of the detention unit to appear next Thursday. That is all today. We'll adjourn now till next week.
All rise for your full of faith.